This is just the first episode of something that might be something, but that might not.
Yeah. Always come prepared. So what are we here for? We are here to drive your mighty Club 1000 1000cc Toyota Yaris.
Yep, and we'll put it through its paces on the Eiffel back roads, the roads around the Nurburgring, but not around the Nurburgring.
As you might have already noticed, I'm not a native English speaker. This is not my first language. I'm sorry in advance. I will butcher your language here.
That's okay. Everybody in England butchers it as well, so
All right.
I butcher it every day.
I'll give it my very best, I promise. All right, so before we actually get in it and drive, let's see what it is actually.
Okay, well, let's start from the beginning. This is a 1999 Toyota Yaris 1 litre, the SCP-10. It is a 998cc engine. It is a whopping 68 horsepower from 4 cylinders.
It's a weapon.
It's a weapon. It's almost Kai class. It is technically a Kai car, but only just. I wanted it because it had a 4-cylinder engine, and I'd set my own restrictions because I'd started at the time. I was starting a club called Club 1000, and I built this.
Yes.
Which is what I like to think of as a club sport Club 1000 car. This is not a full committed race car. I have a 6-point roll cage. I don't have a cross bracing, so I can still put shopping and dogs and even mountain bikes in the back. It's got Sparco racing seats, Sparco harnesses. It's also, everything is done to be road legal in Germany. I've got my scan gauge because the gauges on a Toyota Yaris are not really geared towards racetrack work.
Right.
You have a
Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought?
But there was a sporty version of it,
yes,
right?
there was, yeah. And, oh, even better, in Japan, you could buy the 1 litre as a TRD car, a Toyota Racing Developments car, and it would come with analog gauges, including analog temperature gauges, yep. And it could come with a roll cage, a limited slip diff with a 68 horsepower car, stock, and it came with entries to 5 races in the whole year.
No way.
And you went to Toyota, you said, I want the Vitz Cup package for the 1 litre class.
I want my life changed.
Yeah, I want my life to be significantly improved.
Yeah.
And Toyota would say, let us improve that for you. We will meet you at Fuji for your race license.
This is your ticket.
Yeah. And you could buy a car from a Toyota dealership and just go racing with it. And that's what I wanted to replicate here. So I've got my Cusco roll cage, which is the same as what you get fitted to the original Vitz Cup cars.
Ah, yeah, that's the name.
Vitz Cup, yeah.
Gran Turismo.
Anybody who's played Gran Turismo knows about the Vitz Cup, you know? Sunday Cup.
Yes, please. So Dale, Yaris BTG Cup Edition, if you want.
Yeah, it's in order to win the Touristfahrten World Championship, I'm going for the handicap points.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a 3 times points multiplier for a 1 litre car.
All right. No, so that's power limitations.
Yeah.
Strict credibility limitations.
Yeah, credibility limited.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, right, for a lot of people, this car is a no-win situation. Because if you overtake it, and then you post it on Instagram and Facebook and you say, oh, I overtook Dale in his 68 horsepower Yaris.
Yeah,
it's like, so what?
Yeah.
So what?
But if you overtake him,
it's death.
you take away his life. Yeah. It's death instantly. But we get distracted.
Yes, about the car.
Did you have any trouble so far with the car whatsoever? And so what was it?
So I had a little problem with the exhaust manifold. The standard exhaust manifold is made out of mild steel and it's coated from the factory.
Yes.
But after 22, 23 years, that coating can come off and you get a bit of rust.
Yeah.
And it bubbles and you end up with a leak. So after that, I went on the good old favourite Alibaba and bought some genuine Chinese factory racing parts. I got a stainless steel exhaust manifold for like 60 euros. By the time I paid taxes and shipping, it was still way under 100 euros.
All right.
So, yeah, and that's been the only dramas with the car so far. It's just about to go through 100,000 miles. In about 50 miles from now, it's going to hit 100,000 on the clock.
And quite a lot of them were quite tough. Hard miles on the ring.
Yeah, it's done hundreds of laps. Hundreds of laps on the Nordschleife. It's done loads of days at Circuit Zolder. It's done a couple of days at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. It's done a few days on the Grand Prix track as well. It's done a lot. It's done a lot, this car.
So it's a bit of a tank, this one.
Yeah,
Even though it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
look like it.
No,
but-
and between oil changes, it doesn't even burn oil. I mean, you can check the oil as much as you want, but all it does is change colour, never
All right.
changes level. Then suspension-wise, I needed something that was easy to tooth, and I'm not a massive snob when it comes to suspension, especially on a car as ultimately shitty as this
Yes,
is. I bought
anything, you
TA
just wanna have
Technics.
fun. Really?
I did a little bit of reverse sticker engineering and figured out what it was.
Yes.
So the dampers are Daihatsu spec dampers, and they're for a whole bunch of different Daihatsus in the East that are using much heavier body shells and stuff. So basically they're just uprated dampers. And the
Alright.
springs are just lowered springs, 30 millimeter lower,
Well, that
stiffer
doesn't
springs.
sound too bad after all. Really.
And it's all type approved. It's been
Yeah.
it's run through the tough system, which means that they've been destruction tested.
Yeah.
They've been maximum load tested.
All right.
170 euros, and basically all I was buying was cheap OEM level suspension with slightly higher damping rates and slightly lower stiffer springs.
Back in the day, you were a C1 driver, right?
Yes.
Citroen C1 driver.
Yeah, so my first 1000cc race car that I ever built was with my friends. Ali did most of the work, and we bought a Citroen C1, a German car, one lady owner, and we ripped it apart and we made it into a fully FIA spec racing car that we
Yes.
took to Spa-Francorchamps for the 24 hour.
Yes, I saw that.
And that was the first year that they ever had a C1 class. And there was
Yeah.
only 6 of us.
All right.
And of course, by 1 year later, there was probably about 250 C1 racing cars dotted around Europe.
All right.
It was really an explosion.
Okay. So you were kind of a pioneer there.
Yeah, and I was only a pioneer because actually a friend of mine who's now passed on, a lovely guy called Merrick Cox, who he unfortunately died of cancer last year.
Sad to hear.
Yeah, but he was a real interesting character. He was on the board of directors at Aston Martin, all kinds of stuff. And he was very famous in Citroen racing circles because not only was he a gentleman driver of some skill, talent and budget, but also he was into 2CV racing. So as well as like racing Nurburgring 24 hour in an Aston and racing TCR cars and all kinds of stuff, he was also racing 2CVs, the Duck, I believe the Germans call it, the Enter.
And that whole thing was kind of the predecessor to the one.
Yes, and what
C1
happened
thing,
was he became infamous, notorious, because he was throwing so much money into the Enter. He was making the fastest 2CVs in the world.
All right.
And the 2CV racing got to the point where if you weren't coming with a 50 grand budget, you couldn't win. Which wasn't the point of 2CVs.
Yeah, that's
and
really not the point.
Merrick really felt bad about that, and he invented the whole C1 concept, which was standard engine, standard exhausts, no tuning, and just take a standard C1 out of the free ads for £1,000, and then make it into a race car. And so he invited me to join him in the trial. And we put the parts on the car, we made it into a race car, we met Merrick over at Spa on the Friday, and we entered qualifying Friday afternoon. And the 2CV club were kind of laughing at us because, it's a modern car, it's water cooled, it's all the rest of it. And then all of a sudden we're out there and we're running almost as fast as some of the really modified 2CVs, and we've just got a standard grandma car.
Proper battling with them.
Yeah, and we had great racing. Absolutely fantastic door-to-door, mirror-to-mirror racing for hours at a time. The cars were doing 2.5 hours per driver stint because they have a 38-litre tank.
So you have to be on your A game.
Oh, you have to, as a driver, you need to be skilled, you need to be mechanically sympathetic and considerate, and you have to have stamina and concentration levels.
And you have to, the ride's better than I thought on these tires. Really.
Yeah, these are only the Chinese tyres.
Yes.
If you put this on the semi-slicks, it's quite good because it's only light. The 4-cylinder engine that's in this, I think, is the superior engine.
Yes.
And that's why I didn't buy another C1 for my road car.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, so I wanted it. After racing the C1, I decided I wanted my next track car, my next Touristfahrten Ring Tool, to also be a C1.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, and I'd already had Yaris's before in my life, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have something different. It was down to a K13 Micra or an SCP-10 Yaris, and it was just a question of which one I found first.
Yeah. So you don't regret your decision not to go for the C1, but
no,
go for the Yaris instead.
No.
All right.
Would you like to go down the hairpins?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay. We can go around the roads and stuff when you're like, you get a feel for it. That's it. I mean, that's the power. But when you take it to the GP circuit and you just start getting the thing up on 3 wheels and really playing with it.
Proper tripoding it.
Yeah, that's when you start to appreciate it.
No, I can totally see this being a lot of fun on the track. And you don't have to worry about your bank account all the time. That's another great benefit, right?
Fill it up, drive nearly the whole day on a full tank of gas.
You won't get any more miles per gallon, I think.
No.
It's hard.
And the other thing about this is tyres last a couple of years, brake pads last 2 or 3 track days, no problem.
Lightness is everything. The lack of weight is everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
This is with a bit of fuel in the tank, in running condition, with no driver in it. This is about 860 kilos.
You always underestimate the importance of weight.
Yeah.
Really, you always do.
A lot of people still talk about 10 minutes at the Nurburgring being like, are you just getting in the way or are you having fun and going fast? Yeah. And this is comfortably under 10 minutes. I can go around under 10 minutes in this car. On a private event, 9:45 is my best lap so far.
9:45. All right.
And you're really trying hard at that point.
Yeah. That is where it comes to life.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get used to revving the car the whole time. It's like riding a motorcycle.
Yeah,
you're
you
using
have to
the revs.
rev the tits of it.
Yeah. And I know that the TA Technics suspension is not subtle.
No, but it doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would.
No.
Probably.
It doesn't bottom out. It absorbs the bumps.
Yeah. I mean, we're on pretty soft sidewall tires right now.
Yeah,
right?
we are.
And you can feel that during the initial turning in phase on the corner, but
one of the other discoveries that I made with this car particularly was the car likes a lot of sidewall. So if you can run 16-inch wheels on a Yaris if you want to, but there's not much point to doing it. You end up with a 45 sidewall, and it gets really stiff, and you actually lose a little bit of grip as well.
All right.
My fastest times and fastest corner speeds are coming from using like the semi-slicks, like the Nankang AR1s, which I'm using a lot.
Yeah.
And then using those on a 14-inch wheel.
All right.
So just running a 185/60, and it's quite comfortable. It's still got some bump in the sidewall, but it's still got lots of grip.
Oh, left foot braking.
Yeah.
Tuck it in. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a bit understeery, but
it is.
What do you expect? So as it sits, what do you reckon? How much?
I probably got way too much invested in this. I think probably less than €2,500.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. As it sits.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. No, 3.5 because for everything to be eingetragen.
Yes.
In the paperwork, that was over €1,000.
Yes.
Oh.
But €1,000 well spent. I used to ride and drive cars in Bali when I took a semester abroad.
Ah.
But it was only a van.
Yeah. But manual.
And I crashed it once.
Great.
This is potentially the best corner in the whole Eifel, right?
I think this corner is pretty tricky.
It is.
It's definitely not my favourite corner in the Eifel.
Well, yeah, now you can feel the soft tires, the soft sidewall, and you can feel that the steering, even if it's loaded up, very light.
It's very light, yeah.
Doesn't give you that much confidence or feedback or anything.
No, I did look at all kinds of solutions. I was wondering if I could have a pressure release valve to maybe give it less power assistance. But in the end, I've just kept it as it is and left it standard because I don't want to mess with the reliability of it.
Yeah, I see. But you have quite a lot of camber, right?
Yeah, -3 and a bit on the front now.
Oh, that's proper race car stuff.
Yeah, because I just didn't want to destroy the tyres.
Yes.
And you're just braking very small amounts as well. which is another good drill, because a lot of people in big cars, Porsches, M3s, they get used to going very fast on the straight.
And then they overslow the car.
Yeah, and then they get used to braking really hard.
Yeah.
And they're all constantly asking you, oh, why do my brakes keep failing? Well, because
you are
braking
failing as a driver, yeah.
And the Yaris teaches you to brake softly and controlled, not overbrake the car, because overbraking the car on this, you feel it immediately and you're like, oh, I brake too much.
Yeah.
Whereas people in Nissan GTRs, they don't notice that they brake too much because they're just ready to go 600 horsepower on the exit again.
Yeah. Full ABS mode on the entrance and then full all-wheel drive 600 horsepower bi-turbo on the exit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't learn anything from that, really.
No.
I mean, it's fun, but
it is, yeah.
But it's another kind of fun, right? I mean, overall, you learn so much more with a underpowered car.
I've kept this car a lot longer than any of my 400 horsepower supercars. But this is also a great daily driver.
Yes. I mean, for what it is. But I mean,
for my journey. And these roads that we're driving on, this is my route to work.
I totally see that.
This is my route to work. And you know, on these roads, I'm seeing all the industry pulled prototypes. I see the new Lexuses, the new AMGs, new M cars, and they're all just, you know, bombing down these roads, having fun.
You were talking about the industry pool, and that reminded me of the fact that you did a lot of stuff around the ring, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know you for BTG and the Club 1000.
Yeah.
But you are a ring taxi driver.
Yeah, since I mean, the first time I drove official taxis here was like the Dunlop taxi back in 2008.
Yeah.
And I've been driving ring taxi BMWs since 2014. And industry-wise, I've driven all kinds of cars: Jaguar Land Rovers, BMWs, Nissans, all kinds of stuff.
So you are living the dream, basically.
Yeah.
And you drive this one, so
and I drive this,
better
which
does
is
it get?
exactly.
Dale, it was a lot more fun than I thought, and 68 horsepower car could be.
It's what a lot of people say about meeting me. It's not as bad as they thought. Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Was my first Club 1000 car. Virginity lost.
Yep. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, will we? Will you?
Yeah.
I hope so, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the last time.